August 1939, Moscow. Nazi Germany and the Soviet Union sign a non-aggression pact. Just a few months earlier, such a deal would have seemed impossible. The two regimes are ideological enemies. One is fascist, the other communist. But now they agree not to attack each other. The world is surprised and confused. Behind the scenes, a secret part of the agreement divides Eastern Europe between the two powers, including Poland, the Baltic states, and parts of Romania. This pact changes everything. It removes the danger of a two-front war for Germany and gives the Soviet Union a chance to expand its territory. Just over a week later, Germany will invade Poland, initiating the Second World War. Soon after, the Soviet Union will play its part as agreed and attack Poland from the other side. The deal is a major success for Nazi diplomacy. It gives Hitler time and freedom to act. It also shocks France and Britain, who had hoped the Soviets would help stop Nazi aggression. The man who signs the pact on behalf of Germany is Hitler's foreign minister, Joachim von Ribbentrop. Ulrich Friedrich Wilhelm Joachim von Ribbentrop was born on the 30th of April, 1893 in the town of Wesel, then part of the German Empire. His father, Richard Ribbentrop, served as an officer in the Prussian army, while his mother, Johanna Sophie Hertwig, came from a landowner family. The family moved frequently as his father was transferred between military postings, and this nomadic childhood exposed young Joachim to life in different cities and schools, but also contributed to a certain instability in his character. Between 1904 and 1908, he attended the Lycée Faber in Metz, then part of Germany, where he became fluent in French and English. His teachers and fellow students considered him overly confident and quick to act, but not particularly bright. In 1908, his father was dismissed from the military for allegedly publicly criticizing German Emperor Wilhelm II. The family then moved to Switzerland, where Joachim with his siblings participated in mountaineering, skiing, and bobsleighing. In 1910, Joachim sailed to Canada, where he worked in business and tried to gain experience. His time overseas also exposed him to American culture and further improved his language skills. When World War I broke out on the 28th of July 1914, Joachim left Canada and came back to Germany, where he joined the German army, serving in a cavalry regiment first on the Eastern Front and later on the Western Front. He received the Iron Cross after he was wounded in battle. Toward the end of the war, he served as a staff officer in Constantinople, today's Istanbul, then part of the Ottoman Empire. After the war, he returned to Germany facing a country in political chaos. In 1920, he married Anna Elisabeth Henkel, the daughter of a wealthy wine and champagne producer from Wiesbaden, and they had together 5 children. This marriage brought him financial security and access to an upper-class social life. He soon started a wine importing business that operated across Europe. He traveled frequently negotiating deals and expanding his contacts. He also used his language skills and international experience to present himself as a cultured businessman. In 1925, he was officially adopted by an older relative, allowing him to add the aristocratic term von to his name. From then on, he was known as Joachim von Ribbentrop. His new name gave him an air of nobility and allowed him to move more comfortably among Germany's conservative elite. Critics later mocked him as a man who acquired aristocracy in name only. In 1928, Joachim von Ribbentrop was introduced to Adolf Hitler, and in 1932, he and his wife joined the Nazi Party. Von Ribbentrop used his financial resources, social connections, and knowledge of foreign affairs to offer services to Adolf Hitler. He hosted meetings at his home in Berlin to help conservative and nationalist factions unite behind Hitler. Secret meetings were also held in January 1933 at his residence to orchestrate the final steps that led to Hitler being named Chancellor of Germany. Hitler liked von Ribbentrop because he offered loyalty, foreign language skills, and high-budget offers to host diplomatic events. Hitler trusted him more than the older generation of diplomats, whom he accused of being weak. Von Ribbentrop in turn cultivated his influence by echoing Hitler's beliefs. One German diplomat later recalled, "Von Ribbentrop didn't understand anything about foreign policy. His sole wish was to please Hitler." In 1934, Hitler appointed von Ribbentrop as Special Commissioner for Disarmament. On the international stage, he argued that Germany wanted peace, while he was secretly helping to prepare Germany to rebuild its armed forces, in violation of the 1919 Treaty of Versailles, which held Germany completely responsible for starting World War I.
The German Chancellor has placed before the world his great peace plan. In doing so, he can rightly say, this plan for the consolidation of Europe is proposed by 99% of Germany. That is, the entire German nation. A nation which, once and for all, has restored its sovereignty and which will never allow this sovereignty to be discussed again, but also a nation which wants nothing but freedom, equality, and peace. Germany is convinced that also the British people, as well as the French people, want this new peace in Europe, based on a spirit of conciliation among equal sovereign powers, to be established as soon as possible.
Ribbentrop's biggest success in the early 30s was the successful negotiation of the Anglo-German Naval Agreement that allowed German rearmament of its navy in 1935. This agreement allowed Germany to build a navy up to 35% the size of the British Royal Navy, which was direct violation of the Treaty of Versailles. Ribbentrop helped create the Anti-Comintern Pact with Italy and Japan under the idea of opposing communism. Later, he became Germany's ambassador to the United Kingdom in 1936. In London, he tried to present Nazi Germany as a potential ally against the Soviet Union. He also spent time negotiating with British politicians and military officers to prevent Britain from arming too heavily. Yet his tone was heavy-handed. He often insulted British leaders and overestimated his ability to win them over. Diplomats wrote privately of his rudeness and arrogance. For instance, von Ribbentrop had a habit of summoning tailors from the best British firms, making them wait for hours and then sending them away without seeing him, but with instructions to return the next day, only to repeat the process. In February 1937, instead of bowing to King George VI, von Ribbentrop clicked his heels smartly together, gave the Nazi salute, and in ringing tones cried, "Heil Hitler!" What is, however, more shocking is that according to the Duke Karl Alexander of Württemberg, in 1936, Wallis Simpson, then the lover of English King Edward VIII, was a suspected Nazi sympathizer who had slept with von Ribbentrop in London and had remained in constant contact with him, continually leaking secrets from her future husband. As von Ribbentrop alienated more and more people in Britain, Reichsmarschall Hermann Göring warned Hitler that von Ribbentrop was a stupid ass. German diplomats had the same opinion. While some called von Ribbentrop lazy and worthless, others were quoted as saying von Ribbentrop was vain and ambitious. By 1938, he was removed from his post in Britain and returned to Germany without achieving any of his political goals, but with boundless hatred against Great Britain. He even implied that the Soviet Union should be included in the anti-British alliance system he had proposed. Hitler had grown to trust von Ribbentrop's relentless loyalty. In February 1938, Hitler dismissed the foreign minister Konstantin von Neurath and replaced him with von Ribbentrop. Von Ribbentrop's appointment has generally been seen as an indication that German foreign policy was moving in a more radical direction. In contrast to von Neurath's cautious nature, von Ribbentrop supported war. After the successful Munich Agreement, which gave Nazi Germany territory of Czechoslovakia's Sudetenland in the fall of 1938, von Ribbentrop said, "First-class stupidity. All it means is that we have to fight the English in a year, when they will be better armed. It would have been much better if war had come now." During the Munich conference, von Ribbentrop spent much of his time brooding unhappily in the corners. His biggest success came in August 1939 when he traveled to Moscow. There, he signed the Pact of Non-Aggression between Nazi Germany and the Soviet Union, commonly known as the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact. Publicly, it promised 10 years of peaceful relations. Secret protocols assigned parts of Eastern Europe to each state's control. This arrangement gave Hitler confidence he could invade Poland from the west, while the Soviets attacked from the east. Within days, on the 1st of September 1939, Nazi Germany invaded Poland, triggering the Second World War. Over the next 2 years, the Axis alliance formed under von Ribbentrop's direction. He negotiated the Tripartite Pact with Italy, Germany, and Japan in 1940. He also tried to bring Hungary, Romania, Slovakia, Finland, Bulgaria, and even Spain into various agreements that sided with Nazi Germany or guaranteed neutrality during the war. He was campaigning for the Nazi idea of the new order in Europe. Under von Ribbentrop's rule, German diplomacy was helping the Nazis not only to gain more territory, but also supporting them in their genocidal ideas. Von Ribbentrop supported the deportation of Jewish people from European countries to extermination camps, and sent formal notes to partner states to demand the implementation of anti-Jewish legislation, and used diplomatic language to describe the forced removal of Jews as resettlement or labor mobilization. This diplomatic cover helped mask genocide. In von Ribbentrop's view, the mortal enemy of Nazi Germany was not the Soviet Union, but Great Britain. He liked and admired Joseph Stalin, and was opposed to the attack on the Soviet Union in 1941. Allegedly, he passed word to a Soviet diplomat which said, "Please, tell Stalin I was against this war, and that I know it will bring great misfortune to Germany." Despite von Ribbentrop's advice against the attack, the invasion went ahead, as Hitler believed a quick victory over the Soviet Union was possible. Von Ribbentrop's influence declined through the war. Most of the world was at war with Germany, so the foreign ministry's importance was lower as the value of diplomacy became limited. As war went on and the Soviet Union drove west and the Allies landed in southern and western Europe, Hitler turned further away from diplomacy. Von Ribbentrop remained foreign minister in name, but no longer shaped policy. His position was not helped by the fact that a certain number of diplomats were involved in the failed assassination of Hitler in July 1944. He knew nothing of the plan to kill Hitler and actively helped to persecute people in the diplomatic corps who were connected to the assassination attempt. In the hours immediately following the assassination attempt on Hitler, Hermann Göring, who was criticized for the failures of the German Air Force, the Luftwaffe, turned the direction of the conversation to von Ribbentrop, shouting, "You dirty little champagne salesman, shut your mouth!" When Göring then threatened to smack him with his marshal's baton, von Ribbentrop shouted, "I am still the foreign minister, and my name is von Ribbentrop." On the 20th of April 1945, von Ribbentrop attended Hitler's 56th and last birthday party in Berlin. 3 days later, he attempted to meet Hitler, but was rejected with the explanation the Führer had more important things to do. At the end of the war, von Ribbentrop tried to flee and traveled under false name. On the 14th of June 1945, he was arrested in Hamburg by Allied troops. He identified himself under a false name, but was soon recognized. Von Ribbentrop was placed on trial at the International Military Tribunal in Nuremberg, which began in November 1945. He was charged with crimes against peace, including his role in starting World War II by planning the conquest of Austria, Czechoslovakia, and Poland. He was also charged with war crimes for the mistreatment of prisoners of war, and with crimes against humanity for facilitating the Holocaust. He denied guilt and claimed he had simply carried out orders. While during the trial, von Ribbentrop claimed that Hitler had made all the important decisions himself, and that he had been deceived by Hitler's repeated claims of only wanting peace. In prison, he remained loyal to his Führer and said, "Even with all I know, if in this cell Hitler should come to me and say, 'Do this,' I would still do it. On the 1st of October 1946, the tribunal found von Ribbentrop guilty on all counts and sentenced him to death. On the 16th of October, he became the first of those sentenced to death at Nuremberg to be hanged. Von Ribbentrop's final words were, "God protect Germany. God have mercy on my soul. My final wish is that Germany should recover her unity and that, for the sake of peace, there should be understanding between East and West. I wish peace to the world." Joachim von Ribbentrop's execution, conducted by American Army Sergeant John C. Woods, was a disaster. The hanging was botched, and it took 14 minutes for von Ribbentrop to die. He was 53 years old. His remains, like those of the other 9 executed men, and Hermann Göring, who had killed himself prior to his scheduled execution, were cremated at Ostfriedhof. The ashes were scattered in the Wensbach, a small tributary of the river Isar, to prevent the establishment of a permanent burial site, which might be enshrined by the Nazis and their followers in the future. Thanks for watching the World History Channel. Be sure to like and subscribe and click the bell notification icon so you don't miss our next episodes. We thank you, and we'll see you next time on the channel.